To solve all those questions, we will need to go a little bit into history to find out. There are countless reasons why Africa was the unlucky place chosen to be colonized in the first place, but the three main reasons, commonly believed to be the cause of initial colonization, is slavery, the race factor of being inferior due to skin color, and being unable to defend themselves against the Europeans. And merely because of these three reasons, the people of Africa are considered below the rank of regular humans.
After World War II, it was the ideal time for the African nation. The Europeans, extremely exhausted and with a resource deficiency, are not able to properly support their overseas colonies. The cost of the war, both manpower and monetary, was too much to overcome. Europeans looked towards peaceful negotiations to salvage some dignity from not being able to properly defend their colonies. People lose trust in their captors, and many begin revolts. Algeria and Madagascar both have their ways of achieving independence, but one was more peaceful, while the other began as much more violent.
Begin with Madagascar. Madagascar was first occupied by the British, and then by the French. It was the French, however, who inevitably gave in to the demands of the Malagasy, and independence was the end result. Now, we will look through the timeline of the decolonization period of Madagascar. September 10, 1942. British troops land on Madagascar. January 8, 1943. The British handed Madagascar over to the Free French, the government in exile led by Charles de Gaulle during the World War II, that continued to fight against the French after the fall of France. March 29, 1947. Coordinated surprise attacks were launched by Malagasy nationalists. The French retort to the weakening of this offense. December 1948. The French government, headed by Prime Minister Paul Ramadier of the SFIO party, suppressed the Madagascar revolt. 1956. The Loi Cadre is passed. The law established executive councils to function alongside provincial and national assemblies, and dissolved the separate electoral colleges for the French and Malagasy groups, and Madagascar moves peacefully towards independence.
Okay, sir. So, as you can see, there has been lots of wars and there's been lots of fighting. So we're about to pass a law that's called the Loi Cadre, and we hope this will end all of our wars. Please read over and then sign it if you think it's necessary.
I will sign this, and I hope this will end all our conflicts.
(1958) The Malagasy Republic became an autonomous state within the French community. 1959. The Constitution of the Republic of Madagascar is passed. June 26, 1960. The Malagasy Republic gained independence from France.
Algeria began as much more violent than Madagascar, but a more subtle approach from both sides eventually eased the tension, and peace was made. 1834. France invades Algeria and takes over the Algerian coast. The new country, the modern Algeria, is created with new borders than the old nation. 1839. Abdul al-Qadir organizes an Algerian resistance against the French occupants.
My Bible. It is time for us to rejoice under the laws of humanity. It is time for us to fight against these beasts that treat us like animals. We will now come out of these shadows and bring liberty.
1840. Over 100,000 French settlers arrive in Algeria. 1847 to 1897. Muslims are treated and considered an inferior class of people and have few civil rights. Thus, conflicts arise between Muslim groups and the French colonists. 1920s. Tensions between the Algerian population grow quickly. Algerians feel unfair to not be treated the same as the French nationalists. May 18, 1945. After demonstration for independence was being held in Algeria, people were killed by the police. Michel Roux, a journalist for the Alger Republican, writes an article titled "Nothing is Lost." In it, he addresses the whole people of Algeria, including the French. He claims that Algerians are the subjects of evil, having to serve the French, who are claimed to be criminals. June 8, 1945. Common Declaration of the Socialist and Communist Parties of Algiers is signed by the Socialist and Communist parties in Algeria. It is an appeal asking for certain changes to be made. It calls for democratic reforms to be made and equal treatment of all people in the nation, regardless of power or wealth. 1954. The Algerian War begins between France and the Algerian National Liberation Front. It is a conflict characterized by guerrilla warfare and use of torture by both sides. A sub-conflict was also a civil war between loyalists, Algerians supporting the French side, and Algerian nationalists.
Tell me more information!
1958. The French government is pressured to find a solution to the conflict between the Algerians and French settlers. Charles de Gaulle, the leader of the Free French, is called to solve the impending issue. In 1959, Charles de Gaulle calls for a national vote that allows Algeria to choose between their own independence or continued association with France. 1962, March 18. The Agreement of Evian is passed. The document states that the independence is going to be given to Algeria. 1962, July 1. 99.7% of Algerians vote for independence. 1962, July 3. Algeria becomes a separate country.
I, Charles de Gaulle, on this day, July 3rd, 1962, hereby decree that Algeria and all its citizens are hereby independent, and that Algeria is now a separate entity, not part of the French Association.
Decolonization has had a huge impact on people and nations combined. In the modern world of the 21st century, nations were made as the after effects of the period of this time. The creation of different nations enabled the creation of different types of people. This period was the catalyst of starting to make the world broader, and the idea of nationalism was exploited to its greatest extent. People fought to earn their nation's independence, some peacefully, some violently. But in the end, the goal was the same: drive the Europeans out of their nations and form their very own nation state.